Every couple of years we upgrade a piece of gear that every filmmaker should have. And it's not a camera, it's a good projector. This is the Titan Noir Max from XGIMI. It's the brand new apex predator of the consumer and prosumer class. It's a super bright triple laser 4K projector with some wild specs. The question for us was, would it be suitable for filmmaking applications? Besides using it in our editing suite to give you an IMAX-like immersive experience, it is a great tool to show your customers your work in the best way possible. May it be in the editing suite or on presentation, because besides the 7000 ISO lumen peak brightness and a native contrast ratio of 10,000:1, it remains very portable and even comes with a super nice traveling case. And that is very handy when you use the projector for productions, like for background projections. We took the Titan Noir on our latest production for some moody background projections and explosive special effects. We take you behind the scenes and explain the pros and cons of projectors in this class and if you could use it for virtual production projects. You can also use the projector for creative work and practical effects, like we did for this product shoot where we set some lenses on fire, and we will show you exactly how simple it was with the help of our Titan. And of course, a projector like the Titan Noir Max lets you experience movies at home or in your office in glorious beauty. And isn't that the real reason why most of us became filmmakers in the first place? Get some popcorn and enjoy the ride. The Titan Noir Max has impressive specs and features, especially for a projector that is not designed for cinemas. Let's do a quick rundown and what that means for us filmmakers. The specs everybody looks at first are resolution, brightness and contrast. The Titan Noir Max is 4K, has 7000 ISO lumen peak brightness and a maximum contrast of 10,000:1. The Titan Noir Max features a triple laser system, meaning that every primary color of RGB has its own laser. It is a DLP projector, but it only has one DLP chip, meaning that 3 images are displayed in quick succession to create a color image. This creates the dreaded rainbow artifact, but XGIMI claims that it has anti-RBE technology that should improve that. We will see. The real-world movie-watching specs are 5000 ISO lumen for brightness and 6000:1 contrast ratio, but you do have to reduce the brightness to get that contrast, down to 2000 ISO lumen. Still very bright at any comparison and the recommended brightness for lit living rooms, offices and definitely more than bright enough for editing suites. We get 60 Hz in 4K and 240 Hz in Full HD. As far as I understood it, the Titan Noir's DLP is not a native 4K, but it shifts its 1080p with a high frequency to display 4K. Having the Titan in your editing suite is such a fantastic user experience, really immersive and a bit like IMAX. It really takes you away to that place and lets you experience your footage in the way you want an audience to experience it. I watched some of my own films like The King of Sidonia that you see here, and you get a complete new appreciation of what you created. The images are so powerful and overwhelming, filling even most of your peripheral field of view, just like IMAX. To have this experience with your own work, I find it motivating to say the least. What you see here on YouTube, that doesn't do the image justice. The experience is much better when you see it with your own eyes. Let the sheer size and quality of your footage overwhelm your collaborators and customers. The Titan Noir comes with a lot of certifications: Dolby Vision, HDR10+, and IMAX Enhanced. The Titan Noir Max has a dual iris system. One iris between the laser and the DLP and a second iris in the projector's lens. This way you can really dial in the contrast and the light intensity like you need it. You can set the iris to dynamic to always get the most output out of your Titan, and it is what I would recommend for watching movies. But when grading, you don't want your screen to adjust to your adjustments, so for us here, an f4 seems to be a great sweet spot. f2 is the maximum aperture, and that is way too bright for a dark room. Don't think that you can't use the Titan Noir Max in ambient light. You can, and our studio tests will show to what extent. Of course, a dark room will give the best viewing experience for any projection system, but a light here and there is still fine, as long as it's not directed into the screen. The design is pretty cool, kind of retro. Despite its power, it is small and compact. It stays relatively cool and silent. Lasers seem to have a clear advantage in that department. The internal sound system is very much appreciated. Harman Kardon knows what they're doing. Of course, if you have a projector like this in your home studio, you have a decent sound system. But if you go and you use the Titan Noir Max in a presentation at a customer, having a built-in sound is very useful. The I/O gives you everything you need but SDI. A gigabit LAN, 3 HDMI ports, one with eARC, 2 USB ports, one with 3 O-specs, and optical audio. The Titan has only one button, the power button. Everything you want to do has to be done remotely, and you get an illuminated remote control with your Titan. The Titan Noir Max doesn't have any smart TV features, so you need a media player, like an Apple TV or just a laptop to display an image. In this case, we mirror the Titan with the clean video output of Resolve, allowing us to simply lean back and see what we just did in the edit, IMAX style. The setup of the Titan Noir Max is very easy. It automatically adjusts to the angle of the projection surface, applies the right keystoning and focuses. Of course, you can turn off and on automatic features when needed, or simply dial in the desired things yourself. Here, I just put in the wrong keystoning on purpose. And bam, automatically corrected. I love it. Very crucial for non-short throw projectors is the lens shift that allows the projector to be plus minus 130% horizontally and 50% vertically off axis without keystoning or distortion. You can shift the image and zoom purely optically, which means you don't lose any of your precious resolution. The Titan Noir Max allows you to set different modes: standard, movie, sport, and the Filmmakers mode that doesn't process the image at all. Of course, we did away with all the awful interpolation to increase motion resolution. Yikes! For our editing suite, the Filmmaker mode is a bit too punchy and the movie mode looks the most like our other displays. Even when watching movies, the movie mode seems to be more suitable than the oversaturated Filmmaker mode, letting my favorite bathroom scene look great. We also turn on the anti-RBE to reduce the rainbow effect. This is off by default, an odd choice on XGIMI's part. To prevent the lasers from blinding you, only temporarily of course, the Titan has a pretty neat feature. It senses when a person walks into the light cone and either turns off the whole screen or draws a black mat around the person's head. Pretty cool. In the USA, you will pay $6,000 for the Titan Noir Max. Like mentioned, the Titan comes in a very nice box. Really practical, especially for filmmakers that have to transport their Titan a lot. And it also can be used as a small stand to place the Titan on. Out of the box, the Titan Noir comes with these adjustable feet. Nice for presentations, but we want it on tripods, sliders and the likes. As it's not designed as filmmaking gear, it lacks very simple things, like an option to mount it. XGIMI offers an optional floor stand, and after removing the standard legs, you can attach the adapter from that stand that we rigged with a cheese plate, and that allows us to attach things like a Manfrotto sliding plate or whatever else we might need. Some might frown upon the separate power brick, but for filmmakers it's great not to have the weight of that quite heavy brick on the tripod, slider or wherever. I just wish the DC part of that cable was quite a bit longer. Now that you have an idea what the Titan Noir offers, let's use it for something it wasn't designed for. If you have been around this channel for a long time, you might remember that we did an episode about projection for filmmakers a long time ago. I always loved how creative projections were used to film very beautiful practical effects. Kubrick used them a lot in 2001. from the backgrounds in the dawn of mankind, for all the flat screen displays of the Discovery and for the iPads. And directly in the face of Keir Dullea in his argument with AI, a scene that became closer to reality than one likes. The James Bond franchise used the same technique for the intros of From Russia with Love and, of course, for Goldfinger. Goldfinger's title sequence is such an innovative cinema piece that it went on to win precious awards. Especially these iconic images made me want to try projection effects myself, and I did. In our episode we created the Goldfinger intro with a little twist. That experience showed us the shortcomings of the less than stellar Projector, and we're going to explore if the Titan Noir suffers from similar problems. Virtual production became popular in the last couple of years, and we have an extensive episode about that subject too. It basically is the extension of classic projection techniques that have been with us for, well, basically the whole existence of cinema. One of the most beautiful examples being the Sky Tower in Oblivion. The layered composition of these shots would have been impossible with green screens. Now let's see what a projector like the Titan Noir Max can do on set. We brought him to a shooting at the Marmalade Studios, where we tested a new anamorphic lens from Film. Part of the set is a loft window, and we usually use big lit prints or painted backdrops behind it. Here we try to do it Oblivion style. So doing like this back projection style virtual production, the Titan Noir is not a short throw projector, and that means you need a certain distance, especially if you want to have a very large image, what we want to do. I think this is as large as we can get reasonably in this context, and we need a distance of, what is this, about 3.5 meters to make that happen. So you have to be a bit creative with where you actually place the projector. So now the working lights are on. It's not very bright, but of course too bright for a good projection. And later when we cut out the working light, it works surprisingly well. On the camera it looks even better. I will show you in a second. To cut out the stray light in the thing that happens through our key light and through our practicals that we have in the room, we flagged off the sides, so that might or might not improve the image a little bit. You will never get a projection that is large enough to cover the full field of view of a wider lens. The throw is just too long, and the image would be too dim if you could get much larger in this context. But as a window cuts down the field of view a lot, it works quite well. With longer lenses, and when you approach the window, it can look great. Of course, the system I showed you earlier has this amazing feature that it will cut out your face so it doesn't blind you. In a situation like this, we don't want that. We want to actually see even the image when somebody walks through it. But I'm looking into the lasers right now. It is not a big deal. Of course, if you're in a dark room and you're at home and you're watching a movie, you would need 5 minutes to adapt again to the darkness. But in a situation like this, it is not a big deal. And we filmed in the camera with this many times. It's not a problem. For the scenes where the nuke goes off behind the window, the camera changes position and we can look deeper into the space behind the window. We set up the Titan next to the wall and utilized the ability to go off-axis. A balance act, of course, but we did it quite successfully and our outside world got much bigger. From the very big and bright, let's go into the very small and dim. Product videography, or like professionals call it, tabletop. Our idea was to cast fire onto the lenses to get some interesting and dramatic shots. Most of the time, we set up the Titan on a slider itself, as it allows us to find just the right position more easily. Also, we can slide the effect in and out if necessary. The fire itself is an asset from Action FX. We can control the rotation of the lens using a Shark Slider Nano 2. You can find a review on our channel. My personal learning from this shoot is this. In ultra close-ups, you can definitely see the pixels, and it would have been relatively easy to get the projector much closer while still getting the coverage. And that means more resolution. The lens in the Titan will not allow you to focus that close, but just like with the camera but in reverse, diopters will help with that. If push comes to shove, you can focus on just centimeters away. This would have improved the quality of the fire on the lenses a lot. Having done this, I'm full of ideas for future shootings. I want to think more in practical realms than in CGI or AI, so next time I want to show skin pain, maybe for an aloe vera commercial. How about projecting some fire right onto your talent? I think that looks promising for a very quick test. Now let's go to a verdict. Full disclaimer, XGIMI sent us a Titan Noir Max for evaluation, free of charge. Therefore, this review is marked as a paid promotion. The Titan Noir Max has a great image, much better than what we were able to display here. The images are cinematic and gorgeous, with classic movies, but of course, if you want the technology to show its full potential in brightness and saturation, a modern animated movie is the best demonstrator. If you see it with your own eyes, it looks great. We do love it in the grading suite, on set, and for special effects. The mobility allows us to use it even on sliders, and carrying it to sets doesn't kill your back. The high brightness allows you to use the Titan Noir Max outside too. We used it for a public viewing during the Soccer World Championship. Of course, it is noticeable that the Titan Noir is not designed for filmmakers. Rainbow artifacts are definitely noticeable, especially on cameras, as they just work differently than human eyes. It strongly depends on the content you are filming, but be aware that you can find it about everywhere when you look for it. Fast movements will show more of the effect than slow ones, and we slowed down the fire from 60 to 24 frames to reduce the obvious artifacts of RBE. Here is a scene from The Empire Strikes Back without XGIMI's anti-RBE active. It gets most noticeable if white objects move fast over a black screen. That makes sense, as white contains full RGB, and the dark parts make it extra obvious. And here is the same scene with anti-RBE. It does quite a bit to reduce the effect. Rainbow effects are still visible, but it looks like the Titan reduces the saturation effectively, reducing how much RBE is noticeable. Besides the rainbow effect, we also see other artifacts that are not identifiable, at least to me. The Titan and the image sources run at 60 Hz, and shooting 24 frames per second at 180-degree shutter shouldn't show any artifacts. But you clearly see them, now and then. I checked with the Lit Duo one that has a frequency meter, and that showed that at 180.9 degrees it should be flicker-free. Unfortunately, we had the Lit Duo too late to really try the 180.9 shutter. But I don't think that that is the problem. I think it has something to do with the image shift to get from 180p to 4K. How bad that is in your context, you will have to decide that for yourself. Would a native 4K projector with 3 DLPs or LCDs give a better result? You bet. How about the Barco Njord 4K UHD reference laser projector for just $115,000 US? From that perspective, one might be willing to live for some artifacts. With that in mind, we can recommend the Titan Noir Max as movie connoisseurs, as filmmakers, and as business professionals. $6,000 US is a lot of money. But compared to what you have to pay to get even close with a professional projector, it is a very good deal. I hope you found this episode interesting. If you want to see the project for which we did the back projections and the SFX shots, it's a lens review for the new Arcana anamorphic lenses from DZO Film. Free for all on YouTube. I'll put a link in the corner. If you are a manufacturer of filmmaking gear or an industry hero that wants to work with us, let's talk. We are always open for interesting projects and ideas. Our email is in the description. This is it for today. Thanks for watching. I'm Nicholas and signing out with nerdalicious wishes. Shoot something amazing.